Hi everyone, I wanted a quick video talking about conflict situations and why aggression happens with individuals and some ways that we deal with those scenarios, so hopefully you don't have to use your sort of martial arts skills that you learn. First thing you think about is in any scenario there's always going to be a trigger of some sort, so the situation happens which triggers an anger response. This generally will cause a increase in the amount of adrenaline in the individual, and as this creeps up, this is where we get to the point where conflict can occur. So what happens is when a trigger or a situation happens, the person has to appraise it. The person has to decide what's happened, why it's happened, and what is going to be a suitable response. So some people think, oh, something's happened. For example, you bump into somebody, stand on a toe. Oh, it's an accident. It's not an issue, not a problem. Others might think you've deliberately done it, therefore they get angry. And this obviously goes on to another response. And if they get to a point where they take it in a negative way and then they become angry, then what happens as a result of that is the person has to decide, do I act or do I not act? So you often have what's known as inhibitors. So they are things like, well, if I take action, could I get myself into trouble? Could I lose my job? Or actually, I don't really care what the response is. I'm going to do something about it anyway. And that's when conflict occurs. So to try and keep you safe if you're in a situation where conflict occurs, I've got some models that you could use. So the first one we talk about is SAFER. And SAFER is an acronym that we can use. So the S is stepping back, creating space between you and the aggressor to give you time to react and respond to what goes on. Secondly, you need to assess the situation. Am I in immediate danger? What should be my next course of action? The F is looking to find help. Is there any help around that I can deal with? So if you're in a workplace, can I get a colleague to come and help out? If you're out in the street somewhere, is there some help I can get to come and help diffuse the situation, help manage it, to try and stop the situation from happening? E is evaluating your options. Do I need to do something about it? Can I walk away? How safe am I going to be? And obviously R is your response that you decide to take. Linking into that, especially when you look at assessing a situation, POPS is another model that helps, another acronym, and that stands for persons. So what people are around, are they the person who's become aggressive being egged on by others? Are there others that could get involved and make the situation more dangerous? O is objects. Are there potentially any weapons around that you can see that you might have to deal with or they might use to try and attack you with? And P is obviously the place, so being aware of environmental factors, so exits, doors, that type of thing, furniture, things that might get in the way of you trying to be able to escape the scenario you're in. And then when you're trying to deal with that scenario, we do recommend use of PALMS, another acronym. And obviously P is looking at your positioning. So especially if you're trying to defuse the situation, it's allowing them to have exits rather than being aware of where your exit routes are. Remember, your attitude and your behaviour will influence how someone else responds towards you. So if you're becoming aggressive and angry towards them, they're likely to become more aggressive and angry. The louder you become, because you are trying to be understood by them, when we should be seeking to understand, not be understood when we're dealing with conflict, then that's obviously going to aggravate them and wind them up more. We need to look at them and we need to listen, being aware of where eye contact is. Good areas to look at when using eye contact is piercing eye contact isn't great for individuals, so looking at areas around the chin, the forehead are really good spots to use eye contact. So you look at their face, not looking at their feet, and sort of saying that I'm not really interested in what you're saying. We do again recommend making space. We've already talked about that in SAFER. And obviously your stance. So a good stance is turning slightly side on, a bit like what we do is when we go into our boxing pose or our cat pose, because what that means is if I need to escape and run away, it's easier for me to shuffle backwards a few steps and turn and run than if I'm facing square up to somebody, potentially becoming quite intimidating or confrontational to somebody. And if I do need to run away, I've got to turn 180 and then run, which means a quite slow movement, which means it may be quite tricky for me to get to a position where I can actually run away safely and get away without having to do anything. I hope you found that one quite useful, but there's some tips on dealing with conflict situations and hopefully little things you think about when you're out and about in public. If situations may occur, little things you might want to think about in terms of your awareness when you're out and about. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for listening.